gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, AEW All In London. The second ever All In. We all know the first one was a bunch of independent guys creating a show by wrestlers for wrestlers. This is all AEW All In London. The biggest crowd in professional wrestling history. 81,335. I know if you look back at some of the manias, their announced attendance was higher, but we all have learned since then those were inflated numbers. Apparently this is not. I mean, if it is, great. That arena looked awesome. First stadium show for AEW. I've watched every match in AEW history, so it was really kind of cool to see the stadium show. Doing in London. I love the fact that they announced next year's. So not only did Tony Khan announce August 25th, 2024, All in London 2024, he also announced on October 1st, Wrestle Dream. It falls on the 1-year anniversary of the great Antonio Inoki, a dreamer of New Japan Pro Wrestling, of Japan Wrestling, that falls on the 1-year anniversary of his passing. So, Wrestle Dream, 1-year anniversary of the passing of wrestling's greatest dreamer. I thought it would be a very fitting, after All Out, that you won't have to wait till full year in November for a pay-per-view. I like it. I like it a lot. But here's why. Tony Khan told our own, of course, David Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, that he hopes New Japan wrestlers will take part in the show. I'm all in for this kind of stuff, but you gotta come up with a streaming service. You gotta make this shit cheaper. $50, $40, $50 for this one, and another $50 next week. It's getting a little expensive. It's getting a lot expensive. Not everyone can do that. Luckily, I'm at a point that I'm able to do these two shows. But if you keep this every month, there's no way I can do it every month. And that's going to put really a strain on people watching the product. Get a streaming service, like the Video Network was, like Peacock, put on HBO Max, something like that. Make it a little bit more manageable for people. Then, hey, I'm all in, do a show a month, I don't care. Alright, so All In 0 hour. Used to be buy-ins, 0 hour, kind of like the Ring of Honor shows. We had two matches. We had the Ring of Honor World Tag Titles, and we had the FTW Championship. Ring of Honor Tag Titles, we had champions Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, the Ferrari and the Tank, defending their titles versus Better Than You, Baby, Adam Cole and MJF, Maxwell, Jacob Freeman. I like the way the story's been told, kind of bringing MJF from that just misunderstood heel into a face. I like the kind of the transition, because normally you transition the other way. You don't rarely do you transition to face. Typically, if you're a heel, you have somebody bigger than you turn heel, which turns you face. This has been that just kind of drag it over to a face side. I like that, which if it ends with Adam Cole stabbing him in the back, turn heel, I'm really all in for that one. The Undisputed Kingdom. Undisputed Era, which is Roddy Strong, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, maybe get Bobby Fish back, and then add Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, which is part of the Kingdom, which Adam Cole was. Combine the two factions into the Undisputed Kingdom. I got that from a false family member we were talking about during the show. So that'd be kind of cool. But this match, honestly, it was a pre-show match, so it was less than 7 minutes long. To me, one of the greatest tag teams in the last 5 years versus Better Than You, Baby. Should have been longer, which I understood they couldn't because of the main event. But to have new Ring of Honor World Tag Titles and the Better Than You, Baby. I was like, what? How is this going to work? You got to end your... Okay. But yeah, Adam Cole and MJF, your new ROH Tag Team Champions. I give it 3 1/4. Next up, we had the FTW title on the line. Champion Jack Perry defending the title versus Hook. Jack Perry came in this black limo, like a British limo, and pulled the top of the, kind of where the stage was, and gets out. Hook goes up there. They start fighting. They literally fought around this car. They freaking on the key at the top end. Freaking, I think it was Hook did a back body drop or pile drive or something like that on Jack Perry through the windshield of the car. Didn't the hood up. Ended up fighting up around the ring. Ended up Hook getting the victory over Jack Perry. So we have new FTW World Champion Hook. Two-time champion. I give that match 3 1/4. Now apparently, after the next match, this is the first match on the main card, we had a backstage issue. So the first match on the main card was for the real AEW World Title. We had champion CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. Anyone that has Ring of Honor knowledge knows Punk and Joe. Ring of Honor back in the day was the shizzy. It was one of the greatest feuds they had. They had freaking pay-per-views named after Punk versus Joe. This was the trilogy of all that. It lived up to the hype to a point, but to a point it didn't, for me at least. It was some old school storytelling. It was Punk doing what Punk things, Samoa Joe doing the muscle buster in the heel. Punk pulled out a top rope Pepsi plunge. Maybe the first time he did it since he was in Ring of Honor. It had the old school vibe to it. At one point, Joe kind of slings Punk into the announce table. And he has like the screen across it, so Punk goes under it. Punk comes out bleeding. So he kind of bleeded himself under there where no one could really see it. It wasn't even a question what happened. So we got Punk bleeding. I think Joe bled a little bit too. But you kind of had that just mid-2000s Ring of Honor feel to it. We had seen Punk end up getting the victory. I ended up giving it 3 1/2. I thought it was good, but not over the top, just beyond great. So backstage, let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Alright, so this actually says CM Punk and Jack Perry were involved in a physical confrontation before the former stellar opener to AEW All In against Samoa Joe. Okay. It says, let's see. I guess it involved glass on the car, maybe? I don't know. It says about real glass. We have learned at least one side of the story which claims that Jack Perry approached CM Punk backstage and stepped in his face and bumped Punk. Punk was said to have then pushed Perry. Perry alleged came at Punk and got choked. We haven't heard the particular kind of choke or whole thing or who broke up things. There's only one side of the story. Let's see. So apparently Jack Perry was escorted out of the building. Let me see if there's any more on the old X about this. Alright, bear with me just a second here. Alright, wasn't finding much on X about it, so we'll just move on. It was something about real glass versus fake glass because of the glass on the car, I'm assuming. Alright, next matchup we had the 6-man tag, Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Club, Jay White, Juice Robinson teaming up with Konosuke Takeshita with Don Callis going up against the Golden Elite, Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. To me, this match was a big letdown. It was okay. It was good. I mean, it was your typical 6-man tag. It's what a main event of Dynamite would have been, to be honest with you. It's truly what I felt. Nothing felt special. It didn't feel like it was Don Callis versus Kenny Omega kind of deal. The Bang Bang Club, the Bull Club, I mean, they're just kind of, Jay White was kind of there. It's like everybody hit their moves and we moved on. The Bang Bang Club, Bullet Club Gold got the victory. And they've given it 3.5. Next up, we had the AEW World Tag Titles on the line. We had champion FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood going against the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson. This was supposed to be the trilogy of what they've already done, the great matches these two teams have had. This match didn't have chemistry. It felt very rehearsed to me. The typical moves that they do, Cash does a dive to the outside, the Bucks did their dives. It's just like they went through the motions. There didn't seem to be chemistry. It was kind of bland. It's the moves we're used to from FTR, the moves we're used to from the Bucks. They just did a move. Okay, your turn to do a move. I'll do a move. You do a move. I'll do a move. We go back and forth. I only gave it 3.5. We had, to me, which is a surprise, FTR winning the AEW World Tag Title, or retaining their World Tag Titles. I thought with Cash Wheeler's legal issues with the gun charge that they may drop the titles to the Bucks here, but they did not. So that was kind of surprising. Then we move on to the Stadium Stampede. Best friends Chuck Taylor, Trent, Beretta, Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Penta, El-Zero, Miedo, going up against the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli, John Moxley, Willie Yuta, Mike Santana, and Ortiz. Oh, this was fun. BCC came out looking like freaking Jason Tatum in like the Matrix kind of movies. All decked out in black. You had Trent, you had Eddie Kingston and Claudio just trying to annihilate one another. You had basically at one point 3 different fights. You had one fight in the ring, one fight up in the balcony, one fight at the stage area. You had them outside. You had them going through barriers, like the wire barriers. Sometimes you have them around the ring. You had Willie Yuta getting put through one of those. You had tables. You had the skewers, like you use for like kebabs, and them getting puffed in the forehead. One of the members of the Foles family still looked like spaghetti. I know, right? They had tubes. No, they had tubes. Sorry, they had a door, what looked like a door, covered in barbed wire. They had a barbed wire bat. They had a cricket paddle. We had chairs. When I saw the skewers, I'm like, where's the gusset plates? Where are the tubes? We're gonna have a death match. Let's do it right. As he's sticking the skewers, Eddie Kingston into, I think it was Eddie and John Mott. What was it? Eddie? Who was it that was doing it to? Might have been Eddie into Mox, and it was like they were sticking out. Or like, what? It looked like spaghetti. As when somebody said, I'm like, no, those are skewers. And here's what they do with it. They did it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, where are the gusset plates? Yeah, you just had, I mean, they've had these Stadium Stampede before. They've had Anarchy in the Arena matches, which is kind of cool. Having this kind of go all over the building. We had Mrs. Beretta, Trent Beretta's mom show up in her van. Sue showed up in the van. They had different, like, they pull out like a pie pan that had like little desserts on it, and he just takes it and whacks somebody with it. It was like, oh my god, that's awesome. I thought somebody was getting thrown off the balcony off the top, second level at one point. They're just, again, all over the place. It was hella fun. You had Orange Cassidy getting the pin on Claudio Castagnoli. There needs to be a death match. I'm talking a GCW level death match between Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli. That would be awesome. Can we please make that happen? Tony Khan, call Brett Lauderdale and get the recipe for a good death match with the tubes, with the gusset plates, with the panes of glass, with the tacks, the whole nine. And let's have Nick Gage be the producer of this match, and let's go. But best friends, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, and Penta El-Zero Miedo gets carted out and then comes back in totally different colors. They end up, Penta and I want to say it was Wheeler Yuta, climb a ladder. The ladder broke. The ladder broke, and then Abrahantes holds the ladder. They climb up and still do the spot off the ladder through 2 tables. It's like, nah, that took dedication to make sure that spot got done. Ended up giving it 4-star. It was hella entertaining. It was fun. It was chaotic. Next up, we had the AEW Women's Title in a Fatal 4-Way. To me, the outcome of this match was determined before the match even started, during ring introductions, when Saraya comes to the ring with her entire family. Her brother, her mom, her dad, her mom sitting at ringside. You have her cousin, freaking Ricky Knight Jr. out there. It's like, okay. So you have Toni Storm, Saraya, two members of the Outcast, going up against champion Hiroki Shida and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I'm like, okay. I was expecting Dr. Britt Baker to win this. There was one point where Toni Storm and Saraya started kind of not getting along, and then you had Toni Storm out at ringside. I think it was with Shida, and her mom was holding Shida, or maybe Britt, and she docked, and Toni Storm hit Saraya's mom, who used to be a wrestler. And so that pissed off Saraya, so kind of the family feud went away, the feud kind of went there. Then you had Ruby Soho come out trying to, amend things. It didn't work. She ended up leaving. And then you had Saraya get the victory. And it was like, are you serious right now? Saraya wins this. And of course the crowd are up because she's from there. It's like, holy snap. Seriously, we actually did this. And then we have the streamers come down and all this. Like, all of her family get in the ring. And I'm like, hey, that's Ricky Knight Jr., her cousin. And the Pulse family was like, is it seriously? I'm like, yep, get on the outside. And they're like, okay. That was kind of determined already. It was an okay match. I give it 2 3/4. It was 8 minutes long. 8.5 minutes. These 4 women should have went 20 plus. And then we had the casket match. Darby Allin and Sting versus Christian Cage and Swerve Strickland. You had Swerve getting sung to the ring, which is pretty darn cool. You had Luchasaurus obviously getting involved. You had Prince Nana trying to get involved. You had Nick Wayne coming out and helping Sting and Darby Allin. You had Luchasaurus take him out, hit him with dumped him on a freaking skateboard. You had the casket, or coffin, coffin. You can't use casket because that's trademark by WWE. You had a coffin match, excuse me. And inside the coffin, you had Swerve's house painted, and it's like, really? We painted the inside of the coffin? Why? Why do we got to do this? You had, at one point, Swerve tie Darby Allin's hands behind his back. They started trying to, basically attack him and Sting, kind of almost 2-on-1 kind of ish. You had them put Darby in the casket. He gets out. They end up putting Sting in the casket at one point. He sticks the bat out, and that saved him, which was weird because there was a spot at the end that was a little different than that. So he gets you can't close the casket because of the bat. He ends up attacking, kind of the Joker Sting. A little more happens. They end up putting Swerve in the casket. Darby and Sting did. You had Darby and Sting close the casket, but Swerve's hair was still out of it, but they let the casket locked. So he won. It's like, what? And now, on All Out, you have Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin for the TV title that Christian portrays that he has, or the whatever the hell that title is. It's like, what? Huh? Yeah. It was, sorry. It was sort of funky funk. There's a little funky funkness there. So we'll see what really goes on further with this, but it's the TNT title, my bad. It's the AEW TNT, so I said TV title, TNT title. So we'll see what happens with that next week, but I'm giving this match 3-star. Next up, we had Will Ospreay versus Chris Jericho. it's that. I mean, Jericho got summoned in the ring by Fozzy, which, woohoo. I love what Will Ospreay said on his promo last week. That's the only time that Fozzy can play in a stadium. That's pretty good. Honestly, this match was okay. It wasn't just over the top spectacular, like, oh my god, it's the greatest match in the history of professional wrestling. Maybe some people thought it was. I thought it was good. Ospreay got all the spots in. Jericho, you kind of like wondered if Ospreay was actually going to beat him. It's just kind of like there for me. We end up having William Ospreay getting the victory there. Of course, Will Ospreay kind of looked like British Bulldog to me. Kind of that British Bulldog, 93 Survivor Series kind of thing. Kind of vibe. Then Will Ospreay getting a victory. I didn't give it 3 3/4, so it was pretty good. But it just wasn't typical Will Ospreay match to me. But the fact that Will Ospreay has now beaten Okada, Omega, and Jericho in the last few months, it shows you how freaking awesome Will Ospreay is and how great he is. Next up, we had the Trios match. Billy Gunn and the badass Billy Gunn and the Acclaim, Andy Bowens and Matt Caster going up against the House of Black. Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black came out in the sickest mask you've ever seen. Just the look when they came out, even with Julia Hart, was like, whoa, hard. Of course, the Acclaim comes out with badass Billy Gunn, who the House of Black retired, but they didn't because he's back. They threw his boots in the ring, but he's not retired. I thought that meant you're retired. I'm confused. Exactly. Anyway, badass and the Acclaim. At one point they did the literally it was the what's up thing that the Dudleys do, and they did it on Julia Hart. It's like, seriously, we really just did this on a chick. It was just there, honestly. It was just like, oh, okay, this is going to be a match. But we have the fact that, of course, she put Billy Gunn back with the Acclaim. You have to, when the Acclaim is over as they are, you have to have the world's largest scissors party, so you have to have Billy Gunn and the Acclaim win. So they brought Daddy Ass a title like they said they were, so like they would. So they are your new AEW Trios champions, Billy Badass Gunn and the Acclaim. And then giving the match 3-star. Then the main event was MJF challenging his Ring of Honor tag partner Adam Cole, baby. Oh, what a clustery F this was. Referee got knocked out. We had Roddy Strong come down to the ring at one point. We had them kind of look like they were getting ready to turn on one another, trying to hit each other with the belt. We had Max pull the ring out and behind the back of Cole, like he's going to hit him, and he changed his mind. Cole would do a heel move, and Cole started coming off heel. The crowd's cheering for MJF. It was just such a weird dynamic that you're like, what is going on here? Are they face? Are they heel? What is happening? Then you end up having a double pin. The referee calls it. If you recall back, the first time these two had a match, it was a time limit draw. Cole asked MJF for 5 more minutes. MJF said no and left. So you're like, oh, they just ended in a double draw What the point in the hell is this? And then you had Cole ask for 5 more minutes. You had MJF get the mic and say, you know what? I'm not giving you 5 more minutes. I'm giving you until we have a winner. It goes until we have a winner. Okay, that sounds fun. And you had kind of heelish stuff happening. Each of them were doing heel stuff. Each of them was doing face stuff. It was like really crazy dynamic there. But then you end up having MJF retain the title kind of in a BS kind of way, heelish kind of way, kind of a roll up in the ropes kind of deal. You had the two of them kind of feuding at the end a little bit, and then you had them hug. They hugged it out because they're friends, because they're best friends, and Ring of Honor tag partners. So it was like, you should have had Cole turn on him. You didn't. They kind of like, okay, now what? But MJF is still your AEW World Heavyweight Champion, while CM Punk is your real AEW World Heavyweight Champion. So yeah, that dynamic is weird as frick. So it ended up being, I give it 3.5. And so MJF is still your champion. Where this goes from here, I don't know. It'll be interesting to say, really interesting to see what happens. But we have the news come out about the backstage with Jack Perry and CM Punk. We have the Wrestle Dream pay-per-view October 1st, 1 year, April 25th, 2024. We have all AEW All in London 24. I think that was a little bit to block the arena from WWE. Because apparently WWE, let's see if I can find that. Alright, so according to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer, WWE has put clauses in the deals with arenas that both WWE and AEW that AEW cannot run a certain number of weeks before or after WWE show. The clause also reportedly says that AEW and the arena can't announce a show or sell tickets until after the WWE show. So, the clause also reported says that AEW in the arena cannot announce a show or sell tickets until after the WWE show. So by AEW booking the Wembley Stadium for August 25th, 2024, if the same clause applies to WWE, that means 2025 WrestleMania 42 can't be at Wembley Stadium like they teased. Because at Money in the Bank, John Cena came out and says, London, do you want a WrestleMania? You're not putting a Mania at the O2 Arena. I'm sorry, you're just not. So WrestleMania tickets went on sale a week ago. You already been pimping Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia for like a month now. Do you really think that WWE is going to want to pimp a show at Wembley Stadium weeks before All In 2024? I don't think they are. I think that their own clause just bit in the ass for that show if they wanted to do that. I think at this point, the most they could probably do is book a 25 or 26 Mania, unless they want to do the O2 Arena or do another arena or something. I don't think there's nothing big, like Wembley. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens with that. If WWE is going to our clause is this first against AEW, does AEW have the same clause? So it'll be interesting to see as we get closer to Mania if they start it, because they typically announce about a year out. If they'll announce 25 Mania, WrestleMania 42 at Wembley, where tickets go on sale before the AEW show. It'd be fun. Anyway, that is AEW All In. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader sports channel content.